Hey guys, welcome to the lesson. We're going to take a look at how to improvise over the jam section of Reba for this one, and I thought I would try a little bit of a different approach and different format for this. So what we'll do is I'll loop the section with the chord changes E flat to F, and then in real time talk you through some different possibilities, some different scales we can use, or at least use this as a skeleton. And if we want to think as far as modes, there's a lot of stuff we can do with that. These are just things that I think of. I didn't go to any version that Phish has played and transcribe any specific solo, because for improvising I feel like it's a little bit of a different thing than any of the other stuff I've done so far on this channel. I like to learn what Trey does for the composed parts and all of that, but when it comes to improvising, I think it's really cool, at least important to me, to have my own voice as a musician, and hopefully you can have your own voice. And I just hope that these things I'll talk about in the lesson will help you to express that and to have more avenues to go down with the jam. We'll have a lot of scales, a lot of mode stuff going on we can look at, and I hope it helps as always. So let me know if you guys are into this format. I'm always looking for suggestions or ideas, and just want to do what you guys want. So I hope this is interesting to you guys, and enjoy. Okay, so now that we've got our loop going, I'm just going to talk through some options in no really particular order of what we can do to improvise over this change. So actually, let me pause it real quick. So the fact that we have E flat going up to F would kind of indicate, is if we want to think as far as the modes that we might use, E flat to F would kind of indicate that that's a 4 to 5 change, and that our key center would be B flat. We can just use that as a way to make our way around the fretboard. And the thing that I find helpful with that is that it gives you some patterns you can quickly go to, and then just kind of jumble up and mix up to make it more interesting than just playing a scale. You know, we probably don't want to necessarily sound like we're just playing a bunch of scales. So here we go. I'll get the loop going and then kind of talk through some options here. So now, if we're talking about doing some stuff over B flat major, so this would be kind of the, you know, typical B flat major scale, or Ionian. So then if we just start jumbling stuff up, so there, I'm staying all in that little B flat major zone, but the important thing here, at least to me, and this is, you know, obviously is all just my opinion on this stuff, but there's key notes that we want to target for each chord. Okay, so or, you know, it's subjective, but to me, like if we're playing over an E flat, even if I'm playing sort of in the mindset of a B flat major scale, when the E flat chord is happening, I'm going to want to hit, you know, maybe an E flat, a G is probably a nice tone to hit. The B flat is cool, you know, stuff like that. So we're not just randomly going, you know, in a scale, but trying to target certain notes. So like again, I'll try to start my run with a B flat and end up on maybe an A, because the chord change goes to F, and A is the major third of F. Okay, so that is sometimes a nice chord tone to hit, or C is nice too. You know, it's the fifth of F. Because we're still, you know, we're really, even though it's the B flat is like our center, I'm still keeping things in the mindset of that I'm playing an F. It's just I'm altering certain notes here and there. So here we go again. I'll start my run on a B flat and try to end up on an A. And then there's the A. So then now I do an E flat and then end up on a C. So there's different ways you can do it. I got to went into autopilot and went into some other places, and I'm just going off the cuff here. This isn't, you know, like this isn't planned out or anything. So now some other stuff we can hit. Here's some other besides just doing, you know, like B flat centered stuff. Something very closely related would be doing G Aeolian. Okay, so now I'll put on the loop and kind of play through that a little bit. So. Okay, so all that stuff works really well, and if you change the fingering up a little bit, maybe you want to do it like that. You know, anything like that would be definitely workable. And the cool thing about using this positioning where we have pointer finger on 3rd fret to start a run, you know, maybe thinking in G Aeolian, is that then we can really quickly switch between doing the Aeolian scale and also just the G minor pentatonic, which is always a nice one here to throw into the mix. So let me kind of talk you guys through what I mean by that. Okay, so here we go. here's just the good old-fashioned, Aeolian, that kind of thing. But now if I kind of think pentatonic, then I can start adding in certain notes. I'm starting to get a little outside of the thing there, but I'll talk about that later. So anyway, just doing G minor pentatonic is great too, because that's the 6th degree of B flat, which we're kind of thinking of as our center right now. Now, another one that's really usable, and one that I think Trey uses a lot, is Dorian. Mixolydian and Dorian seem to be some go-to sounds for him, as far as I can tell. So, in this case, if we're thinking of B flat is our center, then it would, sorry, I'm pointing to the wrong fret. B flat is our center, then that would mean if we go up to the 2nd degree, that's Dorian, and that would be C. Okay, so I'll just go through that a little bit. Okay, now, so any of that kind of stuff. So that all, sounds pretty good. Now, just like we could do G minor pentatonic along with some of those tones that we were hitting from the Aeolian in G, we can do a similar thing here with C. Okay, so if we're doing C minor pentatonic, we can just start to add in some of those choice notes from the Dorian, which would be A. Well, it's just, yeah, A. So in addition to the other notes we're already hitting in the pentatonic, that's a good one to touch on. So let me kind of show you how that looks. Here's just the pentatonic of C minor. Okay, then if we start mixing stuff up, so, what I'll do a lot of times, and this is just me, just to mix things up a little bit, if I'm doing a pentatonic kind of thing, I'll sometimes skip strings. You can just kind of hide things a little bit, so it doesn't sound like you're just playing a, pentatonic scale just all the way through. You can kind of mask it a bit and then change your positioning a little bit. So we've talked a little bit about B flat, Ionian, G Aeolian and G minor pentatonic, C Dorian and C minor pentatonic. Let's move on to, let's talk about, let me see here, E flat Lydian is a cool sound to go with this chord progression. And there's as we can see, there's a ton of stuff we can do with this particular chord change. Okay, so here's what the Lydian would be like. So Lydian is the same as the Ionian, the 1st degree. It's just that we raise the 4th degree up a half step, so it's a sharp 4, like this. So yeah, there you go. As you can see, that's a really cool sound to go with this this particular change. We've got that A in there that we talked about was kind of a choice note, and E flat. We got just a lot of good stuff. And the other thing, when we're talking about modes, or at least the way it was explained to me by my teacher, that really resonated and made sense, is to think of it as it's just a pool of notes. It's just a group of notes that we can use. And all this stuff that I'm presenting right now so far is just all stuff that's in that B flat major group of notes. There's nothing that I've done really that's outside of that. I think one lick I did in the intro of this video, I did a little F minor pentatonic one time, and that was the only thing that was outside really of the B major that I have done. So all this stuff is just the same notes, just in different positions, and it gives the sound, or almost the illusion that it's something different than it really is. Okay, so now E flat Lydian is great, and we can do a lot of runs with that, but especially I like to connect that a little bit, segue between that and then D minor pentatonic, and I'll show you what I mean there. Okay, so here's D minor pentatonic over the chord change. Okay, so we can hear that it has it definitely has a different sound than the other minor pentatonics we did with G minor and C minor pentatonic. And we maybe have to be a little bit more careful about where we end up and where we land and everything. So I'll try to kind of mix between E flat Lydian and D minor pentatonic. And here's that like string hopping thing. And actually I'm going to stop it for a second too. So at the same time I'm thinking of E flat Lydian, D minor pentatonic, I'm also in the mindset of D Phrygian a little bit here. Because and again, it's all the same stuff. So D Phrygian just would be starting on D, and you would go. Okay, so it's exactly the same as the E flat Lydian, just starting a half step under it. So that's in my mind too, having that E flat in there over the D minor pentatonic. You'll have to excuse my flubs here. I'm just, again, improvising on the fly. But, that's the thing. You can just mix in some of this stuff. So it's E flat Lydian, D minor pentatonic, D Phrygian, which is the third degree, the third mode. Okay, and then F Mixolydian. That's obviously going to work really well because we have most of the F major stuff going on just with a flat 7 because the E flat is in there. And by the way, if any of this stuff I'm talking about seems like I'm going too fast or it's just too much info, just email me questions or whatever. I'll try to explain this stuff the best that I can. I'm happy to help. So if you have any questions about any particular part of this, don't hesitate. meguitarlessons@gmail.com. Okay, so F Mixolydian. So here we go. And as we can see, all those notes sound great, and it's all just the B flat major scale starting on the 5th degree. B flat, Aeolian, if you will. So, we can get a lot of cool stuff out of that Mixolydian. We can have this position up here on 13 of E, or you could do 8th fret of A, either way. And I really like that kind of doing the flat 7 and the 9 right after is a cool sound. And then I find also that switching between like C Dorian in this position up here, this is a C, and then right to the F7 chord shape. If we want to, well, let me stop it there. So rather than thinking of a bunch of scales, we can also think in terms of chords, which is something I would recommend playing with a little bit just to get a sense of that. So yeah, if we want to play some chords within the changes that we're playing. We can do little triads or even bigger chords and extensions and stuff. But if we're in the F Mixolydian zone, we're really positioned well for both a C minor triad. If you add the A, you get the Dorian sound. And then a G minor triad. If you add the E flat, that's the minor 6 of the G, if that makes sense. So we can really quickly do these little triads in there within the jam. So I'll show you what I mean by that. I'll go between like G minor triad, F triad, C, Dorian, you know, that kind of thing. So here we go. I'll start with G minor triad. C minor. Now I'm adding some notes. So, let's talk some more about these little triads we can do within the change. So, if we're going off of the B major scale, so every degree of the way there's a chord we can play that corresponds with each step of the scale. So first we have just a B flat major triad that we can play. Then we have a C minor, another minor chord, it's a D minor. Then we have an E flat. Then we have an F, a G minor, and then I'm getting a little high up on my fretboard, but then we have, let's see here, A half diminished. We'll play it like that for now, and then we're back to B flat. So let me do it this way, because we got B flat triad, C minor, D minor, E flat. Now I'm going to go down here to play the F, G minor, A half diminishes the Locrian, and then we're back to B flat. Okay, so the reason I'm bringing that up is because we can do a lot of cool stuff with those little things along the way as well. So here we go. So, a lot of cool stuff with those little 3-note chords or arpeggios, and you can embellish them and add a lot of cool stuff along the way. So as a little recap here, that's just a few things we can do with that jam. And then, you know, for all these, a couple other things here. For all these minor pentatonic positions that we, as guitar players, it's just probably an easier pattern to think of. There's the corresponding major pentatonic, you know, so for instance, B flat pentatonic. For the C minor pentatonic, there's the E major pentatonic. There's the F major pentatonic. Okay, so there's just a few other things to consider that you can play with. So here we'll go. And then I'll do one over the E flat. I'm embellishing a little bit, adding some other notes. Now F major pentatonic. Okay, so there's a couple other possibilities. There's just a ton of stuff we can do with this chord change, and it's one that, you know, a lot of times if we're playing, you know, in a jam kind of situation, it's the kind of vamp that will come up a lot, you know, so it's something we can really draw from. And by the way, these things that I'm talking about here, can be applied to any any similar chord change in any key. You know, it's just a matter of finding, okay, where can you think of as your sort of root center as far as that group of notes, and then just getting comfortable with all the different positions. But it's all the same, you know, no matter where you are, if that if that makes sense. All right, cool. So I hope that helped. And for anybody that has stuck around this long towards the end of the video, I'll have a little fun thing going on here. So at the beginning of the video, in the intro, when I was just improvising and playing over the chord change with the loop, I teased a few, loosely teased a few Phish songs that I've already done on the channel. So for the first person that leaves a comment with what they were in order, there were just a few of them, I'll be giving away a free online lesson via Skype or FaceTime for anybody that's interested. If you're not interested in doing the lesson, please let somebody else answer it so they can get it. If they want. Just thought it'd be fun and something we could do to get a lesson going. And I really appreciate the support. Please hit like or share, subscribe, visit my Patreon. If you want to become a member, you can consider doing like $1 a month, $5, whatever you want. And I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks.